was like, oh my gosh, it's a whole new world. Let's go even deeper. I'm excited about what we're talking about today. Everything is kind of in line with the podcast episode that was released on spicing up sex. I would love if you are watching now or you are chiming in later for you to go ahead and just leave comments here on this video for whoever's going to be watching later. Most people watch these later because I know that they can't all come in at the same time, but just put down below, like, what is something that you do that spices up sex? Because it's going to look different for everyone. And Kyla and I have things that we do, but it might not be your style. Though I would really encourage you to try it, and you really have nothing to lose. So see what works for you. And then if someone else chimes in and puts a comment down about something, go ahead and try that out and see how it works, because we're all going to have things that work better for one partner or the other. Both are just not our jam. So yeah, and speaking of that, I already had one comment on the announcement for this live that talked about how they have started using music during their intimate times. And I love that. I didn't mention that in the podcast episode, but Kyle and I have done that too. And I think it can kind of be, I feel like you have to be intentional with it. And maybe it's just me. Now, if we just put on some worship music, it's typically fine. But if we're doing anything else other than worship music, it can be hit or miss on whether or not it brings us into the moment or brings us out, whether or not we feel like connected to each other and like this is bringing a different element, or if we feel distracted. Because there have been times where we've been right in the middle of it, turned on some music, and it's been like, like right in the middle, just being like, okay, no, we can't do this. I can't handle this. I remember one time Kyle actually turned on, like, what did he ask for? Massage. We have an Alexa, and so he asked for like massage therapy music. I just wanted to make sure she wasn't going to turn on and start playing it. But it was hilarious. And it was a no-go. I was like, okay, this is fine if you're doing a massage, but we're not, I can't I can't focus to this sort of thing. So, hey friends, welcome in. I see somebody's watching. Go ahead and leave a comment if you can hear me well, just so that I know that everything is up and running. But anyway, the person who left this comment, I absolutely loved it. And I would love if you play music during your intimate times, go ahead and leave a comment like, what type of music do you play? Do you have a playlist? Do you like what works for you? Because I really do feel like it's hit or miss on that. And I feel like it can kind of throw you out of the moment. But I guess the best part of that is you can just laugh. So I was talking to Kyla this morning on the topic of spicing things up, and I was telling him how he actually took the girls to the Amazium this morning. So I love these mornings because it means I get some space and time for you guys. But I was just asking him, okay, so I mean, he listened to the podcast and he knows like what I mentioned and what I said, and he was totally on board. But he said, before you talk to them about like other tips and things like that, why don't you kind of bring up, he's like, I think you hit it a little bit, but what spicing up sex actually means to you, because it can mean something different to so many different people. And I thought that was a really good point. Because honestly, almost don't even know like what people were asking for when they said I'd love like tips to spice up sex. So I hope I gave what they were wanting. I mean, I gave my heart and I gave what I had. And there's so much more that I could talk about on the topic. But I realized that my perception may be different. And so I think that that's something that we need to start a conversation on. We need to talk about like your definition of it. Like, what does spicing it up mean to you? Does it, in your head, does it mean something that is, you know, looking more like what you see in movies, or you just like want some specific like image in your head is what you have in mind? Or does spicing it up mean just we're finding like something new and something fresh and something exciting? Or is spicing it up bringing it back to those feelings you had when you first started dating, or something like that? What does spicing it up mean to you? Because a lot of the tips that I gave in this week's podcast were actually my definition of spicing things up for me is turning it more from this physical to like emotional connection. And sometimes, in order to be more emotionally naked together, more emotionally connected, more spicy emotionally, which is what I desire, and more spicy spiritually, sometimes it's the physical things that sort of help spark that. So, like I mentioned, having sex somewhere else can help you as a couple come together better. Changing up positions, slowing it down. And that was the one that I got the most feedback on, was that they were like, yeah, that actually really, really helps. Um, all of those things, for the reason that they work for me and the reason that I mention them and the reason that I think that they will work for a lot of people, is because they help you get emotionally naked. Now, there are a lot of things that you can bring in that are going to like spice it up more physically, but they may not, they might not have been the things that I mentioned specifically, because it's not something that makes me feel closer to my husband, makes me feel more turned on, makes me feel more alive. There are people out there that talk about, bringing in porn or bringing in other parties or bringing in like something more aggressive or dirty, and things like that. And for them, it's spicing things up. But I would really question whether or not they feel emotionally spiced. Do they feel connected? Do they feel really like turned on by that person and with that person? Or is it the thing? Like, are they turned on by the thing, and is the connection there? Because that's not going to last. And that was another one of the things that when I was talking with Kyle and just processing through this for you guys was, why am I so big about like the connection emotionally? Um, and sort of laughing and like, how does that work together? Is because I think a lot of times there are levels of intimacy that you don't even understand. You don't even know yet. And I don't even know yet because I haven't gotten there. But I have watched myself like walk down these steps of intimacy deeper and deeper and deeper, and realize there's something down there at this level that I never even knew was there when I was up at the top. I thought I was intimate with him at one point, and then we pushed past. We sought the emotional connection, and we did some of these things that were really awkward. That were like, okay, I think this could bring us closer, but also I have no idea what I'm doing, and this is really awkward. Like turning on music, for example. We're early on trying new positions. It was like, it was hard. There were a lot of like tears and confusion and feeling really, one of my personal things that I struggle with is feeling stupid. I really hate that feeling. It's really hard for me. It's a lot of pride and things like that. But when we were first getting started into sex and our journey, it was, new positions were really difficult because I didn't know how to move. I didn't know how things worked. I felt really dumb. It wasn't pleasurable for both of us. But we chose to, after some tears, chose to laugh about it and keep trying and keep moving forward. And we would have sex in different places, and it didn't work until we kept pushing in and learning each other. And then that's where it didn't feel spicy at first, but it does now. It does now, because we pushed past the awkwardness. We kept trying things. Honestly, I'm just getting a call. Honestly, I think it's the areas that you feel most awkward in that are the areas that you're probably going to have the most intimacy if you keep diving in deeper. Listen to that again and just process through it with me. It's the areas that you probably are most afraid of, are most awkward, feel like you can't do with each other, that are probably, if you push into it, if you keep working through it together, going to be the areas that you feel most intimate in. And here's why. Our fears are simply a sign to us that there is a place to grow. The enemy likes to use fear and these different tactics to keep us stuck. Um, fear, I mean, in some ways, fears are good. You know, there are certain things you really should be afraid of. But if you are afraid of something with your partner, that is good in your understanding of things, or you're nervous about something, or you don't feel like, say, you don't feel like you can talk during sex, for example. Why is that? Where does that fear stem from? Most of the time, it is because of a fear of intimacy. It is because of a fear of vulnerability. It is because you have to put yourself out there, and that is new, and that's crazy, and that's different. And what if you're rejected? What if it's awkward? What if you say the wrong thing? But if you were to continue to try it and keep pushing past until you got to this point where you realize, wow, my partner actually enjoys this. Wow, I actually enjoy it. It brings us closer. Talking together during sex actually brings us closer. What if I try a new position? And we keep trying and we keep trying. And then we realize that we're more confident together, that we understand each other's bodies better. We understand our own bodies better. You are going to become more intimate. So when finding something to spice things up, look for the fear. Look for where you're uncomfortable. Look for where you're nervous. Um, and see if it's something that you really just need to challenge yourself. Um, and one of the big ones that I talked a little bit about in the podcast episode was pausing. And like I said, this is the one that I've gotten the most feedback on. And I think it's for a really good reason. We, because of nerves, because of the way that we've been taught, because of culture, because of all of these different things, we have two sides really attacking us. That sex is supposed to be quick, like we're supposed to be able to like go in a closet and have sex and come out and we're totally fine, and maybe our hair is a little zhuzhed, but that's it. No. Um, and then there's this other side that like sex is dirty and it has to be like done quickly, or just all right, like let's just get sex done because it just needs to be done. And so we have both of those like coming our way. And there is like there is no social media, there is no culture of it, there is nobody pushing for slow, passionate, beautiful sex. No one. And so I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it right here. If you want to spice things up, get yourself in a good place first, because this isn't something that you can just do when your head is all crazy and you've got your to-do list and things are just, swirling around in your life. But if you really want to spice things up, slow it down. Way, way down. How long can you go? How slow can you go? And I'm going to be having people come back at me like I'm exhausted and all of these different things and, whatever. I get that. I get that. But if you want to change it, if you want to enjoy it, slow it down, because I bet you going fast is not helping you enjoy it. Now, there are some times I will vouch for, I love myself the quickie, but the quickie doesn't bring this level of like calming down together, taking off the weight off of our shoulders of the day and of everything we have going on, and looking at each other and saying, wow, I really appreciate you. I love you. Oh my goodness, I love your body. Like, how can we change this up? How can we slow it down? If you have the same old routine of this is exactly how we take our clothes off, how can you do it differently this time? This is exactly how we climb into bed, or exactly where we go. How can you do it different this time? How can you do it slower? How can you add in something that is going to make it feel a little bit different and a little more purposeful, a little more intentional? Because the more intentional, the more you're going to feel like, oh, they want me and I want them. And oh, this is really, really good. Because it's those times where we're just pushing through and just going through the motions, and we're not thinking, wow, they find you really attractive. Wow, they want to touch my shoulders. Wow, they want to like slow this down with me. They want to talk to me. They want to woo me. I want to woo them. I want to love them. I want to give them a massage. I want to appreciate this part of their body or that part of their body or whatever it is. How can you slow it down? How can you put as much love and passion and emotion into it, because those are the times. And there's a lot of fear, I think. And me personally, I really struggled with this. Caleb tends to be a little bit, he's actually more emotionally reserved than I am. And so connecting with him emotionally during sex was hard at first. And I would like boil over with emotion. Like I would be in laughter or tears or like just so much passion during sex, like all of these different things. Like it was, I'm very all in when I jump into something. And it was hard for me because he wasn't exactly in the same place. Now he's gotten there through the years and through connection with me outside of sex and all these different things as we've grown and learned together and become closer in all the different ways. But it was hard because I felt like I was putting more of myself out there than he was. And there was this fear, like maybe I should hold back. And there were different times that I would, but let's be real. When I held back, that didn't help anything. When I held myself back from fully being in the moment, it didn't make sex better for him and it didn't make sex better for me. And when I did put myself all in, it was so enjoyable for me, whether or not it was enjoyable for him or not. And in the long run, it brought him along with me. It took him, he was able to see, wow, and he'll vouch for this. Wow, Amanda, you were all in it. You really loved this. Like you really wanted this. You really cared for me and showed me what you wanted and how to work with you on this. And you were really intentional. And guys, it changed him. And he was able to dive into a whole new place that he didn't even know was there. And then vice versa. The moment that he started opening up, I was like, oh my gosh, it's a whole new world. Let's go even deeper. I feel like I'm getting sidetracked from like the spicy aspect of sex, but really this is it. Like sex has never been more pleasurable, more explosive, if you want to use that term, than when we have both like shut the world out and looked each other in the eyes and like really seen each other and said, I see you. I see you as a person. I see that you see me. And wow. Guys, I'm getting emotional because I want this for everyone. I swear, guys, I can't even. I did not used to be this emotional of a person until I met Caleb, really, truly. But he opened up a good side of me. I want this for everyone. And I want you to find the tips and tricks that work for you. Find whatever it is, get sensual with it, with the five senses, or find something that, taste and see and touch and hear, and what can you bring into it that's going to spice it up for you? What's that going to look like? For Caleb and I, it might be going on a hike because we really love hiking, and it's going to feel way more fun out there than it is in our bed where we do it all the time. Or have like a night of really, really good eats and like enjoying just tasting things, and then enjoying that same sensation together. Whatever it is, it's not supposed to be there just to be fun. And that's good too. Like we want that too. But it's meant to bring you closer and deeper and more in love. And then that is when the passion really gets there. And so if you feel like that's missing, um, don't lose hope on it. Like it can be there, and just know, like I said, where the fear is, or where there is something that you feel like is a block, or something you feel like it's not there. That just means that's the area of growth that you need to aim for. So go ahead and just, if you think about it, or if you're open to commenting, I would love to have you also comment below, like, what is your fear area? I know that's super, super vulnerable, but there's only a few people in the group. So we're here to encourage and uplift, and I am here. But what is a fear, or what is an area that you feel like, oh, I've never tried that because I've been nervous? Sounds like a good idea. I would love to hear that in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Give it a like, comment below. I am really ready for this conversation and I can't wait to keep chatting with you.